Hey y'all, it's Crissy O here and welcome to Crissy O's CluckyChronicles crew. You guys are wonderful flock stars. It's Crissy O here and I'm back with another episode of, you guessed it, Crissy O's CluckyChronicles. Anyway, y'all, it is miserable, muggy hot out here in eastern North Carolina and my feathered babies are totally feeling it. Okay, so now today I want to dive into super important topic for all you chicken tenders, chickens, ducks, quails, all of y'all out there, okay? Let's just talk about heat exhaustion in your flock, okay? Now, summers in eastern North Carolina, y'all, they can be so brutal. Just temperatures can be in the 90s, the high 90s, and we've even had a couple of hundreds lately, and the humidity literally makes you feel like you're swimming through the air. Now, our chickens, they're not fans of this heat wave. I'm not either. I don't blame them. I don't blame any animal for being, just miserable. We're all miserable in this heat. So now in this episode, I want to cover what heat exhaustion might look like, some must-know facts, and just a few little things that we do for keeping our flock cool with fans, shade, fresh cold water, and misters. So y'all just grab you a sweet tea, grab you a coffee, settle in. Let's just talk about keeping our little Clucky family and the pecking crew comfy as we can. All right. Let's start with the basics. Heat exhaustion. What does it look like? We want to talk a little bit about it. So heat exhaustion in chickens, it happens when they can't regulate their body temperature in like hot, humid weather. Because chickens, let's face it, they don't sweat like we do. They cool off by panting and holding their wings away from their bodies to release heat because them feathers is hot. I'm telling you, they're hot. But, when it's 95 degrees out with 80% humidity here in eastern North Carolina, it's kind of a tall order for our feathered friends to have to deal with and go through. So here's some signs that I watch for. And again, I don't know your flock. I know my flock. I know what signs I need to look for, but you need to get familiar with your flock and your babies and what they do and how they react. If you have a lot of hot summers and heat and humidity like we do. If you don't, hey, great. You're in an area where you don't have to worry about it. But here in eastern North Carolina, we got to worry about it a lot. So some of the signs that I watch for in my flock is panting and rapid breathing. So if they look like they're hyperventilating, that's pretty much a red flag for me. I know hey, somebody's stressed out. We need to get them in a cool place, cool spots, let them do their thing. So they can also have lethargy, very lethargic. That means that they're just sluggish, not scratching around, not pecking like usual, kind of laying around. I know that's a sign, hey, my poor fluffs, they're not acting right. If they have pale combs and wattles, like the bright red combs are supposed to be really pretty and bright red, they might look like shriveled or even faded. Then I know for me and my babies that is a telltale sign. Also, I look for wing drooping or they're holding their wings out. It just means that, hey, they're trying to cool off by increasing their own airflow. And the fans need to be on. They need to be doing their thing because they can get extremely, extremely too hot. Now, in very severe cases, if a chicken's laying down unresponsive, hey, that's like emergency. You really don't want to see that. But it happens. And you can't help it. It's just so hot. If you see these signs, you have to act fast. And again, I don't know your flock. I know what my flock does. So if I see any of these signs that I talked about, I have to act very fast because heat exhaustion can turn into like a heat stroke, which can be fatal for my babies. So what I try to do is I move the chicken or chickens, whatever, to a cooler shaded area. Make sure that their fans are on, like full blast. Offer them some fresh cold water, and I gently mist them with a cool mist. I gently mist them with cool, not ice cold water, just regular mist from the water hose, because that will also help lower their body temperature. Now, I've already had a previous video about first aid, but first things first, prevention with heat exhaustion, that is super key.
Yeah.
Now, I've already done something on this as well in another podcast, but, you know, it's jungle fowls. And if you didn't know, it's a fun fact. If you didn't know, chickens are descendants of jungle fowl from Southeast Asia. They're built for warm climates, but let me tell you, eastern North Carolina summers push even those limits. Our average summer temperature ranges from anywhere from 85 to 95 degrees, and it can even get in the hundreds. So with heat, you know, like that, it can sometimes hit really high. Our highest, I believe, recorded maybe 105 or more. So that's a lot. And then when you add in our sticky, just yucky humidity, it's literally a recipe for stressing out birds and stressing out your flock. It can be absolutely just craziness. Now, I don't know about your chickens, but my chickens start feeling heat stress at temperatures above 80 degrees. Now, anything above 90, and egg production can really drop by 10 to 20%. Now, humidity above 50%, it makes it really hard for my chickens to cool off. So let me tell you what I do. I just, tell you guys about favorite ways I like to beat the heat, starting with shade. Shade, 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 and shaded areas. That's the main thing, is you want to make sure that you have got plenty of shade.
Yeah.
I have plenty of barn space with fans on the inside. We have covered areas and a long covered shaded, I don't know what you would call it, an outdoor porch or something, where their food and their water stays under so it doesn't get wet, but it also keeps it cool. Now, when you're creating shade for your flock, there are several ways you can do this. Like what I do, we have natural shade. We live in the middle of the woods. We have 12 and a half acres. They've got plenty of trees, bushes, and everything that they could possibly want to hide in. So I let them free range, and they will get under them during like the hotter parts of the day so they can be cooler. Especially like they'll be in there in the middle of the day when the heat is the worst. So early mornings, late afternoons, my girls just love lounging under the big trees. I just make sure that there's no predators around that can like sneak in and, have a chicken dinner. We also use tarps and canopies, and I've showed you guys this before. If you haven't seen it, you can go look in previous other vlogs and videos that I have. I got a couple of these UV-resistant tarps. They're stretched over parts of the run. They're pretty cheap, and they're easy to set up, and it just blocks a lot of like harsh midday sun and keeps the rain off of areas I don't want the rain in. I also angle them for like more airflow depending on the shape and the size of the pen that they're in, because nobody wants a stuffy chicken sauna. You just don't, trust me. And then, you have like shade structures like the one I was just talking about. So the hubby built us a really nice shade structure over part of their big chicken yard, and it's really nice. And the cost can be anywhere from $50 to $150 if you do it right. That's up to you. Whatever you want to do, you can use anything, old pallets, corrugated metal, or the corrugated plastic for the top parts of it. That's completely up to you on how you want to go about doing that. I also have that in a video as well, so you can just check out whatever works for you and whatever works for your floofs. But another thing that I try to do is make sure that our barn and our coops have really good ventilation. So if you don't have good ventilation, you might want to go back and look at your coop design, or maybe your barn design, or whatever you're working with to house your babies. Just think about, like, do they need a window? Do they need vents? Do they need multiple sides with different types of airflow quality? Do they need fans? Is your coop in the direct sun? Consider painting it different light colors to reflect heat, or add a reflective roof panel. There's so many options and things that you can do to help shade them or get the temperature lower for your babies, especially if they're seeking different shade options. Now, we use different types of fans for airflow. The type of fan that I typically use is I use box fans. You can get them anywhere. Amazon, Walmart, Dollar Tree, Dollar General. Everybody's got a box fan you can get. And they're typically about $20 to $25 each. They're pretty durable, and they actually do push a lot of air. And you can get them whatever. Mine you plug in. They're electric. But you can also get battery-powered or solar fans if that's your preference. You can do those things. With placement of the fans, I generally set them up outside of the barn, outside of the run, just to where it'll create a breeze-through area. I have them blowing across like the open side of the run and near the barn, but I don't put them where the chickens can get caught in the blades, because that is not good. And I also try to make sure with those fans that any cords that we got, they're out of the reach of chickens, protected, from pecking. We run them through like PVC or conduit just to try to keep things a little bit tidy. And if you're in a humid area like us in eastern North Carolina, you want to make sure that you're checking for rust or wear on your fans regular, because we can get probably a year's worth of use out of it, or maybe 2. Just depends on the type of weather that we have.
Yeah.
I also try to use fresh, cold water. And we set up multiple water stations. So we got at least, I don't know, every pen has like these large trash can barrels or big giant barrels for the waterers in the setup. The big yard has 2 large barrel waterers and a smaller waterer. In the yard, we've got 2 large trash can waterers, 2 pools. The quail barn has 2 waterers. The ducks, they have tons of waterers. We just make sure they got plenty of water. You just want to make sure that you have them around shady areas. That way, nobody's fighting over a drink. And I freeze in my gallon milk jugs. I freeze water in those gallon milk jugs. And then you can set them down inside of the barrels to keep that water cool. You can add whatever you want to. Ice cubes, frozen water bottles, frozen water, whatever you need to add, especially during the hottest parts of the day, because believe it or not, chickens actually do love cool water, and it encourages them to drink more. So just don't make it too cold. I've done that before. You want refreshing, not icy. They're not into water slushies. Trust me. Learn from experience. I'm telling you. Make sure that your waterers are clean daily. Make sure there's no algae, no dirt. Because here in eastern North Carolina, the humidity, there's like gunky, junk, nasty grows so fast. You want to rinse them, scrub them out. We use a little bit of Dawn Power Wash, washing stuff. We use Dawn dishwashing liquid, and, rinse them with a little vinegar mix or whatever. Rinse them with a little vinegar mix or whatever, just to keep them clean if you have to. Just scrub them out. Don't take that long. On super, super hot days, I do add poultry electrolyte powder to the water. It's literally like Gatorade for chickens. Smells like rotten turd, but it's good for them, and we ain't drinking it, so there you go. It helps replace their salts and minerals lost when they pant and they sweat, and they don't sweat, but when they're panting. So just check your local feed stores for really good brands like Rooster Booster or electrolytes, probiotics, that kind of thing.
What?
Now, we mentioned misters for cooling, so you can do whatever you want to. You can do a DIY mister system. You can get you a basic misting kit from the hardware store, typically around $30 to $50. It's just a hose with tiny nozzles that you attach to a water source or your water hose. We have that. You can run it along the top of the run, the middle of the run, or the bottom of the run, just so that the mist falls gently over the chickens. And then you want to make sure that you're placing the misters like in a shady area to maximize more cooling. You don't want your chickens getting like too soaked, just a light mist. Turn them on for 10 to 15 minutes a few times a day when the temperatures hit that 90 or higher. And just if you're worried about like water waste, just use a timer to control the mister and make sure the ground doesn't get too muddy, because if your chickens are like mine, they totally hate soggy feet. But if you have ducks like mine, they're just going to make mud pies. So there you go. All right, Clucky Chronicles crew, you flock stars, that's wonderful. And thank you so much. So I am so glad that I could give you any kind of information I can on what heat exhaustion looks like, because it is no joke for our chickens, ducks, or quails, especially in eastern North Carolina scorching summers. Make sure you're watching for signs in your flock like mine. They're going to be panting, lethargic, pale combs, but I'm going to keep them cool, because I'm going to create plenty of shade with tarps, trees, or structures. I'm going to use fans to boost airflow and keep things breezy. I'm going to provide them with fresh, cool water with ice and electrolytes, and add those misters for extra cooling boost. So, if you suspect you have heat exhaustion in your flock, be sure to move them to a cool spot. Off from water, mist them gently, because prevention is always better than cure. So we want you to keep your cluckers happy and healthy. Do all the right things. And I think you guys are doing fabulous. I think you guys are just doing a great job. You guys are wonderful flock stars. I heart y'all great big. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for watching. Thanks for clicking on those affiliate links on the website too at CrissyOShow.com. Again, I heart you great big, and if you can't be good, babies, just be good at it.